there, football fans. Here we are, week number 14 of Nick's Who Gives a Crap football update, aka Nick by the Buffalo. Well, I wanted to say I hope that before we get to this weekend and into next week, that I hope everybody has a great Christmas time with their family. I want to thank everybody again this past year who's jumped on here and watched my videos and supported me in this little hobby I've had. I'm going to go ahead and kick into things. Let's start off with talking about college football. And I'm going to hit on something that took place this week that gets a lot of publicity around this time of year. And that is recruiting and signing week. This is something that I've talked about in the past with friends and family. Have posted about it. Signing day, college signing day, is honestly one of the biggest hoaxes that there is in all of sports. 18-year-old kids making a decision where they want to go. And what I really came to this conclusion years ago. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. I'm going to go back to a story. I've done stories on here before. So you go back to a time when Oklahoma State Cowboys were ran by Les Miles. And Les Miles was building his name, building his brand as a recruiter. And there was a highly sought-after defensive lineman that went by the nickname of XLK back in the day. And Oklahoma State was one of the schools that was in on XLK. A lot of schools were trying to get this guy. It was supposed to be a dominating Warren Sapp type of a defensive tackle coming in. Big, huge high school kid that had a lot of success. So I read everything you can possibly read about XLK going into this recruiting period, and Oklahoma State landed him. And he was also at this time, this took place years ago, he was one of the first athletes in that swarm of athletes that did the little hats lined up, putting the hats on for the team that they're picking. And now it's a complete joke, really. I really can't stand to see what these high school kids do, different types of ways they're showing. Just pick your school. I mean, you're not superstars. You're high school athletes, high school students that are getting an opportunity at the next level. And so XLK comes to Oklahoma State and is a major bust. Did not have a very good career at Oklahoma State. Really didn't work hard, didn't get it to the level that he was supposed to get to. So I learned a hard lesson, and don't put any stock into these recruiting classes. If you don't know, a lot of people probably do know this, but if you don't, let me explain to you how they come about with these rankings for these high school kids. When they say there's a 5-star town, a 4-star town, a 3-star town. So these high school kids, they attend camps. They go, the ones that are fortunate enough to have parents that are, or fortunate enough to have support by somebody that can get them to go to these camps. They go to these college camps while they're in school, and they get recognized early on in the process. It's not like the old recruiting days where college coaches and college scouts are going out and just catching a bunch of games. And then also now you have social media and all this other hype and videos and things like that the high school coaches do to help their athletes. So when the universities start seeing these kids through their camps that they spend money to go to, they get more exposure to them. When the top schools show interest and send letters to these kids and show their interest in these kids, that makes that kid a 5-star prospect. That is a prospect now that they are looking at for the top talent in the country. It's not necessarily something that they did on the field. Now you can say, well, it's a little bit of the chicken and the egg. The reason the big schools are looking at these kids is because they're so good. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, the publications that give these ratings a lot of times are paid directly by the universities. So it's all just a big PR scam, really. And it builds up this recruiting thing where it's like, oh, come to Ohio State because we have a rich talent pool that we pull from on a regular basis. And yeah, but all the schools, it doesn't just mean the top rated schools always win the championships. Texas has got a top 10 recruiting class every year, and they don't perform on the field. So it's not the ratings, it's not the classes. Those classes in top 5-star prospect. That's just a bunch of baloney. It's what happens to these kids once they get on campus. What kind of coaching and developing, what strength and conditioning programs do they have? What resources are they receiving from the university and the athletic department? How do these kids do when they get out in the real world? Do they have the work ethic? Do they fit the culture of the program? Mike Gundy's a huge person on culture. He really looks for kids that fit his culture and what his program is about. Do they avoid temptations, drugs, alcohol, not going to class, girls, whatever the temptation may be? So these recruiting classes, I don't spend 2 minutes really concerned about anything about who had a top recruiting class, because it does not equate to national championships and wins. Yes, you do want the most talented players. Yes, the top schools typically get a lot of those top talented players, but now the transfer portal has opened up a different level of this, where now kids can take that leap of faith, and then they know they can transfer out if it's not working out. So don't spend a lot of time on that. Let me jump now to the NFL. And I thought about this as last week's video and other videos. I've kind of been hard on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And I was having a discussion with the lovely Patty, and the discussion was, why are you so tough on this kid? Why are you so hard on him? What has he done? And I want to be very clear about it. I have nothing against Lamar Jackson, the person. Very, very classy young man, as far as I can tell. I do think that team is a little cockier than people are calling out. I'm not a big fan of all this hoopla they're doing after post games and stuff like that, but that's just me. A lot of people like that, and that's fun. They're having fun. I get it. That's fine. But I feel like they're just a little too high and mighty on their horse right now, and that's going to slap them in the face, I have a feeling, in the postseason. But anyway, I want to get back to my point. And I thought about it, and I wanted to really put thought into, why am I being so hard on Lamar Jackson? And it really came down to a philosophy that I have for a long time, and that is, I don't like when we crown people quickly. And that's in anything, not just sports, in movies, actors, musicians, politicians, whatever. I don't like when we crown people quickly. So I feel like you have to pay your dues to get that respect, in my eyes. So anytime there's a player out there that after 1 or 2 years just gets over the top publicity, and Patty responded back to us, well, you talk about Patrick Mahomes. Well, here's the difference. So Patrick Mahomes, I was a huge fan of Patrick Mahomes in college. So this is a kid I already had a tie to. If you have ties to Lamar Jackson before now, I 100% understand the hype that you were putting behind him. But if you're a person that's just all of a sudden come in and wanted to crown Lamar Jackson the MVP, he's going to win the Super Bowl, he's the most dynamic run pass quarterback threat that we've ever had, yada, yada, yada. He hasn't earned it. The kid hasn't done enough, in my eyes, to earn that level of respect. Russell Wilson has earned that level of respect. That's why Russell Wilson's my MVP this year, because I feel like Russell's done a whole lot more with a whole lot less. But I also get equally upset when I see people disrespecting people that have earned their status in their profession. In this situation, we're talking about football. Let me give you an example of this. Eli Manning. Everybody talked about how awful Eli is. Eli has 2 Super Bowls, and Eli has years and years of accolades. Same with Tom Brady. Tom Brady and Eli Manning are 2 guys that I've hated and loathed early on in their career for the same reasons I've talked about Lamar Jackson. But they earned a level of respect. Those guys have earned their respect. They don't have to prove anything to me or anybody else. They've done their job. They've been there. And they've seen it. They've done it. So I don't like to see people disrespect legends of any sport. So the most abrasive legends that I don't like, I give a level of respect to once they've earned it. And it's undeniable that you've got to give them. John Elway is another good example of this. John Elway is a player that I couldn't stand most of my young football life. I rooted against John Elway heavily. I didn't like his cockiness. I didn't like how he came into the league. I didn't like how he was threatening the baseball boycott. And a lot of the same reasons I didn't like Eli Manning. I didn't like him not wanting to play in San Diego. But when John Elway was at the very end of his career and done all the things that he had done, I was right there rooting him on in the Super Bowl. And it was one of my greatest memories of him flipping around in the air trying to get to that touchdown, because that was a quarterback that had been and done it all and seen it all, but he was wanting to win that Super Bowl. So I like to give people respect when they've earned it. I do not like giving people respect when they haven't earned it yet. And I feel like Lamar Jackson's way too early in the process for us to be crowning this kid as anything more than a talented young quarterback with some upside. And if you're looking at him anything more than that, I think you're going to be jumping the gun a little bit here. And he may end up being, and I will eat crow, and I will come back and I'll be in his court as a champion for the achievements he's had. He has not had that many achievements. Only achievement he's had to this point is that he has surpassed Michael Vick's record of rushing in at the quarterback position. Okay, let's wrap it up with the Dallas Cowboys. You can see I put my Jason Witten jersey back on this week. It's been a couple of months since I put my Jason Witten jersey on. I thought this was a good week. The Cowboys, a.k.a. Sybil, if you know anything about Sybil, she had multiple personalities. I feel like this is what it's like watching the Dallas Cowboys. You don't know what personality you're going to see from week to week. Very happy with how they performed against the Rams. It was a performance, it just breaks down to simple. They ran the ball well. The offensive line blocked well. Zeke, it was his best game of the season. Tony Pollard chipped in, had a 100-yard week. Jason Witten, he came out, looked like he was at his Hall of Fame self out there. And the defense really showed up. They showed up and did a great job against the Rams offense. And then the offensive line just neutralizing Aaron Donald. Very good. Now, the Rams, I put in perspective, the Rams are a good team, not great this year. They're not the same team. They've had their own struggles similar to the Cowboys. So I'm not getting excited yet. I'm not putting the Cowboys too far into it. At this point, my season's all wrapped up, and I just hope that they win the NFC East, just because I don't want the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East. I want Dallas to win the NFC East. And then we'll see what happens in the playoffs. I honestly don't expect much from the Cowboys at that point. And then I'm talking about the coaching search at that point. Okay, well, that's all I have for this week. Next week, I don't know that I'm going to be on here. It'll be the day after Christmas. I'll have a lot going on. If I can, I will. But I'll definitely get on here the week after when the regular football season wraps up in the NFL. I want to do a playoff preview of how I feel like it's going to shake down. But once again, if you haven't, please click the thumbs up. Give me a like if you like what you hear. Give me a thumbs down if you think I'm full of crap. Please subscribe if you can to my channel. It's been a few weeks since I picked up any new subscribers, so I really would appreciate it if you would. And if you haven't, and you know somebody in your family or friends that are big football fans, I'd really be appreciative if you'd pass my link on to them. Say, hey, check this out. See what you think. And I want to thank you. Hope you have a blessed football weekend and Christmas. Take care.